back to where Alonso, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo, and the other lords are searching for Ferdinand, the lost prince, the son of Alonso. They think that perhaps he has died and they can't find him. Now remember Sebastian and Antonio, they had this plan to kill Alonso. So while they're walking around trying to find Ferdinand, they continue to talk about this plan of killing Alonso, and they decide that soon, as they get the chance, they will carry out this plan. While the men are wandering around the island, searching for the lost son Ferdinand, all of a sudden they hear strange but beautiful music. They wonder and are filled with astonishment and fear. While they're wondering about where this music is coming from and how it could possibly come, then several different shapes appear before them, dancing beautifully and coming very gracefully, and they bring with them a table, and on the table appears the most delicious looking food. These shapes then disappear, and the men are left with this banquet. Now they start to discuss, should they eat the food or should they not eat the food? Some of them say, no, don't eat it because it's magical food and it's dangerous for us. But the trusted advisor of the king, Gonzalo, he told everyone, he said, look, magical things do happen and good things can happen. Look how these spirits or these shapes, they were beautiful. There was nothing evil about them. There should be nothing wrong with this food. Let's just eat the food. So they reach out and touch the food, but as they're about to touch the food, suddenly Ariel appears, and as he appears, the food also disappears. He starts to rebuke these men and tell them how evil they are and how horrible men they are. And immediately the men draw out their swords and are ready to fight with him. But Ariel says, what can you do against me? He laughs and tells them, I am a spirit. You cannot harm me. You cannot hurt me. There is absolutely nothing that you can do against me. Then leaves, and the spirits come back and take the table away. Act 4 goes back to Ferdinand and Miranda. This time Prospero joins his daughter and Ferdinand. Prospero tells Ferdinand that he is so pleased with his love for his daughter Miranda. Even though at first he had acted as if he was not happy about these two loving each other, but now Prospero tells Ferdinand that this duty that he has given him has really proved Ferdinand's love for Miranda, and that now he must no longer carry these logs. He says he's very happy about these two getting married. He quickly calls his spirit servant Ariel and tells Ariel that they must have a beautiful mask to celebrate the union of Ferdinand and Miranda. Now a mask is like a really extravagant, beautiful party with like lots of display and drama. And so Ariel calls some more spirits such as Iris and Ceres and Juno, and they begin to dance and make a beautiful display for Ferdinand and Miranda. Then they call more spirits, and these spirits also come and dance and it's just so grand and beautiful and elegant. But in the middle of all of this amazing time, all of a sudden, Prospero remembers something. He remembers about Caliban and Trinculo and Stefano and how they were planning to kill Prospero. All of a sudden, he remembers this. And he says, "Bus, that's enough. Finish off this mask. I have to go see to this problem." Because as you remember, Ariel had been present, though invisible, that time when Caliban and Trinculo were making this plan to kill Caliban, Trinculo, and Stefano were making the plan to kill Prospero. So Ariel, of course, had come back and told his master, Prospero. So as soon as Prospero remembers this, he says, "That's enough of this mask. All finished. Thank you. You all can go." So they all left. And Prospero tells Miranda and Ferdinand, he says, "Now you go and just talk among yourselves and have a nice time together. And I have to go." So Prospero leaves the scene. And he goes and he calls back his servant spirit Ariel. And he says, "Ariel, where are these men who are trying to kill me? Caliban, Trinculo, and Stefano." So Ariel tells him that after that previous scene where Ariel had been invisible and watching these three men, and they had walked off to go and catch Prospero, Ariel had played a bit of a trick on them. And he had played some beautiful music and called them along, attracted them along with this beautiful music into this place where there was a pond. And without understanding what they were doing, Trinculo, Stefano, and Caliban walked right into the middle of this dirty, muddy, murky pond. And they were just kind of stuck in that pond without having any understanding of what was going on. So Prospero says, "We must find a way to catch these men." And then he has an idea. He says, "Ariel, in my house there are some beautiful clothes. Go and bring those beautiful clothes." So Ariel goes and brings these beautiful clothes, and he proceeds to hang up these clothes on a line. Now the plan is that they will catch Trinculo and Stefano and Caliban by these beautiful clothes and entice them to them, attract them to these clothes. So then Prospero and Ariel make themselves invisible and wait for Trinculo and Stefano and Caliban to come that way. After a few minutes, Trinculo, Stefano, and Caliban come to that place where Prospero and Ariel are hidden invisible. Now remember, they've just come out of that dirty, muddy pond, and they're all wet, and they're a bit irritated because they realize now that someone had played a magic trick on them by getting them stuck in that pond. They're especially upset because Stefano has lost his bottle in the pond, which of course is a big tragedy for him. While they're quietly talking and trying to catch Prospero and find him so they can catch him, they see these clothes that have been hung out to attract them. Now Stefano and Trinculo get so excited and they say, "Come, we'll wear these clothes. They're so beautiful. They're so nice. We want to wear them, and look, our clothes are so dirty and wet." And Caliban says, "Don't touch them," because he has more of an understanding of the magic of the island. And they say, "No, we will wear them. We want to wear them." And finally, Stefano and Trinculo, they pick up the clothes and they wear these clothes. Now, straight after they put these clothes on, the spirits come after them in the shape of dogs. These spirits have been sent by Prospero and Ariel, and they chase them off. And Trinculo, Stefano, and Caliban go running off. Act 5 opens up with Prospero and Ariel, and they are talking together, discussing together. It's important to understand that Ariel is the servant of Prospero, but he has repeatedly asked for his freedom, and Prospero has continually said, very soon I will set you free. Very soon, after a few more tasks, I will set you free. So Prospero asks Ariel, where is the king and all of the men who were with him? So Ariel tells him that with his magic, he has entrapped them inside of a forest of trees. So they're stuck inside of this forest and they're unable to come out. Ariel tells him that they're very upset, especially Gonzalo, whom he knows Prospero really loves Gonzalo because he's a very trusted advisor to the king, and he's the one who had helped Prospero previously. So Ariel tells him they're all very upset and very sad, and if you saw them, you also would feel so bad if you saw them. So Prospero says, okay then, you go and you bring these men to me. So Ariel went off to go and bring the men. A little while later he returned, and with him came the king, Sebastian, Antonio, Gonzalo, and the other lords. Now they were still in this confused state. They did not really have any understanding, and they were not able to really hear or recognize things because they were still under a spell, and Prospero was just standing there observing them, looking at them. And as he was looking at them, all the memories of the past years just were coming back to him. And he starts to speak to them, even though they can't hear him really. They can't really understand what he's saying, but he still is speaking to them. He first speaks to Gonzalo and says, Gonzalo, you are just such a wonderful, trusted friend, and I'm so thankful for the way that you always treated me with such kindness. But then he turns to Alonso and says, Alonso, the way that you treated me, you and your brother Sebastian, how you two treated me was just so terrible. And then he turns to Antonio and says, you are my brother, and yet you acted in this way and took my position as the Duke. But Prospero realizes that they're not really understanding, and as they start to slowly come out of this spell, he also sees that they're not recognizing him because he's wearing this magician's cap and he's looking quite different. So he says to Ariel, come, I'll go put on my old clothes that I used to wear when I was the Duke. So he goes, he puts on his old clothes that he used to wear when he was the Duke. Prospero tells Ariel, I will give you your freedom very soon, but first just go to the boat where these men had come from and find the captain of the boat, the boatswain, and bring him here. So Ariel goes off to find him. Then Prospero again begins talking to each of these men. And slowly they start to realize that this is Prospero, the lost Prospero, whom they had all thought must have been dead. But then they all start to understand that yes, Prospero is here. Alonso tells him that he is so sad because he has lost his dear beloved son. Prospero says, yes, I understand, because I have also lost my daughter. He's of course saying this kind of in a joking way. Alonso says, "Oh, how I wish my son and your daughter were together in some place. Then I would have peace in my heart." Prospero forgives them for all the wrongs that they have done, and he says to Alonso, "Because you have allowed me to take back this dukedom and become the duke again, I also want to give you something." And he says, "Come into my house, you'll see something." He brings them into his house and shows them Ferdinand and Miranda, who are sitting in the other room playing chess. They don't know anything of this meeting that's happening outside. They're talking to each other and just having a nice time playing chess, and all of a sudden Alonso comes into the room and sees his son. He is of course overjoyed, and when he gets to know that this is Miranda, the daughter of Prospero, he blesses their marriage and is very, very happy. After this, Ariel then returns, bringing with him the boatswain. And they're also surprised to see this man because they thought that surely he had drowned along with the boat. And the boatswain comes and tells them that by some miracle, the boat is still okay. Then Ariel appears, bringing along with him Trinculo, Stefano, and Caliban. The rest of the men are so surprised to see these men again, Trinculo and Stefano, after they finally recognize them. And Prospero rebukes them for stealing the clothes and for planning this plan to kill him. And at the end of this play, Prospero gives a very touching and moving speech about how now he will no longer use his magic, and he will give up all of the magic that he has been dealing with in these many, many years. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings the Tempest to a close.